Thank you for listening to Depictions Media Radio. Today we're going to be speaking with Lynn Tucknies of Inner Hero Healing. And I'm going to quote this from her mission statement. I believe it is our birthright to feel our best and live happy, memorable, productive lives. To live our best lives, to be the best version of ourselves. My passion is to help and encourage others to live their best life. I have always strived to live a healthy lifestyle, and I have consistently been mindful of wellness in all areas, mind, body, and spirit. Lynn has a unique way of helping people heal from traumas and move forward with their lives so they can be happy and productive. And I'd like to introduce you to her show now. Welcome to the show, Lynn. And I know you have this fantastic story about how you actually got started helping people and how you discovered your methodology for actually helping people. Why don't you go ahead and tell that story?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Michael. I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited to be talking with you. It's so good to see you and talk to you. I found out about this a few years back when a friend of mine mentioned the word emotion code. She said she was going for an emotion code session. And I said, what's that? And she went to describe it to me. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. I went online, so Dr. Bradley Nelson is the one that discovered it, and I discovered it through a friend. I went online and I just started on YouTube and started doing everything, the muscle testing. There's charts that I was, emotional code charts, and I just started playing around, and I could do it very quickly and easily. So I was doing sessions and releasing trapped emotions on myself, and then I found that it helped me so much. I spoke to my mother, like between a 3-week time frame, and I was releasing emotions from myself, but also inherited emotions that came from her. She didn't even know I was working on them, and I noticed a huge difference in her. That's when I thought, okay, something is up here. And I just dove in and started learning more and more and helping other people and starting a client base. I felt that I've been on this internal healing journey for a very long period of time, but I felt that there was still things that were there that I didn't reach, and I didn't know how to reach it. And I couldn't even name what it was. But when I found out about the emotion code and the body code, and I actually discovered that, yes, indeed, we can trap these emotions in our energetic body, that made complete sense to me. And I understood why I felt there was areas I couldn't get at with positive affirmations and inner child work and rewriting your story and all those things that we do along our healing journey.
Yeah, we recently did, I guess a couple months ago, we interviewed somebody who helped you rewrite your story so that you become more empowered and things like that. There's a lot of that. That kind of work, and it really helps people. But how is it that your method, the emotional code, actually works? How does that work?
So as we go through life, we can trap emotions. These emotions come to form or to notice, per se, through triggers that we may have to various things. They come also through physical ailments, reactions, and emotional and physical responses, basically. Mm-hmm. As we go through life, when we, when we actually feel an emotion and we physically respond to it, that's when it gets trapped. So if you're feeling anxious and your body starts shaking and you start telling yourself all these stories and you physically start feeling things, it has gotten trapped. So I used to be afraid of snakes my entire life. I didn't know why I was afraid of snakes. I was just afraid of snakes. I did a session on myself on fear, release trapped emotions, and only trapped emotions. That's the emotion code. You just release trapped emotions. I did that just by muscle testing and asking my subconscious questions. When I walked by a snake one day, I discovered I wasn't afraid of that snake for the first time in my life. And that was because I was releasing trapped emotions due to fear. So do you see how the difference it is? Once you release the emotions, the triggers aren't there. And a lot of times the physical ailments are lessened or gone.
Okay. That sounds a little mysterious.
All right. So we'll start from the beginning. We basically can tap in. We have many parts of our brain.
Right.
We have our conscious mind, the one that I'm speaking to you with right now, and we have our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind remembers absolutely everything, every person you ever talked to, every experience you ever had, every sandwich you ever ate. It remembers it all. So when I do a session with myself or with someone, so let's say I do a session on you, we will connect and I will connect to your subconscious mind. Then I ask yes or no questions. I'm looking at a chart of emotions, point in, and I'm finding out which emotion needs to be released. I could find out what age you trapped it. I could find out if it's yours or inherited. And then we just release it we have a governing meridian that goes from the top of our lip across our forehead, down the middle of our head, down to our back to the base of our spine. And that connects all the meridians to our body. Like the other meridians are like the highways of energy in our body. Mm-hmm. So it connects this. And that is what, when I'm swiping from the bridge of my nose, up my forehead, down to the base of my spine 3 times, that releases the energy. So when if I were to ask right now, do you have a trapped emotion? I don't know if I were to ask you if you had a trapped emotion of something and then it would come up, I could ask the age and swipe it. The reason it came up from your subconscious is because it wanted to be released. So now you think of that energy, that emotion, like a credit card. And we swipe with my fingertips or a magnet because we have a magnetic field around our body. So then let's say this emotion of worry came up. And I swipe it away just with 3 swipes. So if this were an energy like a magnet and we swipe it with the magnet, let's say the energy, let's say the credit card we're talking is the emotion, and we swipe it with a magnet, it gets demagnetized just like a credit card would with a magnet. That's the same thing that happens with our emotions when we're swiping along the governing meridian. Now that emotion that was trapped in that moment for you will be gone, and gone for good.
Okay, so I'm going to fill our listeners in on a little secret. She actually did do a session with me, and I had a shoulder pain. And as she was doing the swiping and everything, the shoulder pain was releasing. Because that was the area of my body that was actually trapping the emotions in, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So
that's correct.
And that was a few weeks ago, and I still do my normal routine and everything, and that shoulder pain hasn't come back.
That is fantastic. Because the energies, the emotions can get trapped. They're the size of a cantaloupe or an orange, and they could get trapped in various parts of our body. We can trap many emotions, like 2 or 3 at the same time. That's called the compound emotion. That could get trapped in our body as well. And really and truly, when we're swiping them away, we clear the energy. And exactly what you said happens. I've had clients that have had the frozen shoulder. And they could only lift their arm up so high. And after a session, like just today, a lady put her hand behind her back. She had a frozen shoulder. After the session, just one session, and immediately after the session, she could lift her arm further up and behind her by about 5 inches.
Wow.
So cool. I see this time and time again. And it's really amazing how these energies can get trapped in our energetic body. And when they clear it, it helps align and reset our physical body so much.
Yeah. Now, you did tell a story about you kind of scratched at it today, but you told it a little more in depth about your relationship with your personal relationships as you were clearing your own emotional code, that how that improved your relationships with other people. How does that actually work? That you're clearing things between the two of you, or?
Oh, okay. So inherited trapped emotions. So what happens? I've done a session on somebody, and I think the furthest we've gone back, and this is no exaggeration, the furthest we've gone back is 42 generations ago. So if I trap an emotion strongly enough, it can get passed down to my children. Mm-hmm. And then it's an inherited trapped emotion for them. And then they could pass it down to their children. So it sort of works like whether somebody has blue eyes or brown eyes. I've done actual sisters, and what ran very commonly in their family was a trapped emotion of humiliation. But now they had the same mother and father, but one of them had a trapped emotion of humiliation that went back as far as 42 generations ago. The other sister didn't have that one. Wow. So why it happens, I don't know, but it's almost like a root of a tree. The root just keeps going and going and going. And when we released that one of 42 generations ago, mm-hmm. it released from everyone in the past and everyone after that person. And that root is completely pulled out and gone. Wow. Like a domino effect.
Yeah. Wow, that's it is truly amazing stuff, and it was truly amazing when you did my session, and it was like, wow, I could. I hadn't got to the point where my shoulder was frozen, but every time I moved, I knew that there was this pain there, and now it is gone.
Mm-hmm. There's another thing called in the body code. So the emotion code just deals with the trapped emotions, but when I did it with you, we did the body code, which takes on so many circuits and systems and meridians and chakras and everything to do with the entire body. Mm-hmm. There's a thing called a sickness memory. So when I was 15, I had mono, and I had trapped a sickness memory, which is a cellular memory of the sickness. It didn't have a chance to get processed entirely. When I did a session on my son, he had an inherited sickness memory from me, but it's called a myism. So he had a myism from my sickness memory of having mono. I've seen that get trapped and released from like 20 generations ago. Now the fascinating thing about that, when I heard about myisms, I started thinking, is this why health issues run in the family? I don't know if it is, but I thought, you know how some families have alcoholics and some families have diabetes and whatever runs in the family.
Yeah.
I have no idea if it does or not, but it certainly made me think.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful thing to be able to clear that away from future generations to come. Like my great-great-great-great-grandchildren will not have that myism from me having mono at 15.
Yeah.
Way back in 1980, what we're talking about, I don't know, 2050.
Yeah. So things can get trapped in our energy as and it's passed on from our parents to us. Is it more passed on from mother to child, or does it matter if it's
It
father?
does not matter. There's even trapped emotions. There's prenatal trapped emotions too. And that is something that the mother or father trapped while the child was in the mother's stomach. So it doesn't matter, mother or father. You don't even have to know your biological parents to have that happen, because you're just genetically connected.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that the wildest thing?
It is, right? So.
There's another thing called a heart wall, and 93% of us have it, and that is strictly all trapped emotions. Now, the heart wall, it blocks us from feeling the pain of being hurt, but it also blocks the joy and the love from coming into our lives, and just enjoying life in general. So it blocks both sides, the good and the bad. We could have an inherited heart wall, a prenatal heart wall. We could have all these different types of heart walls. And when that is cleared, people notice what can happen too with a heart wall is you're trying to send out your heartfelt message to someone you're trying to communicate, and it gets translated into something entirely different by the time the person receives it, because that wall intercepts the meaning or the energy of it. So what often happens with people that do get their heart wall cleared, their communication gets better, their creativity increases. Mm-hmm. It also blocks abundance. And a lot of people find their soulmates. They truly do, because they're more open to an open, loving relationship, and they're giving out their proper love message instead of saying, I want that man or that guy or girl that's going to be this, this, and this. They wouldn't get that. They'd always wonder, why am I getting a person that's like this? It's because their love message was not sent out properly. It was not sent out the way they intended it to be.
Yeah. So a lot of it is based on the idea that that we are, of course, down to our soul. We're actually light in energy.
Everything is energy, and this whole concept is based on us being a mass of energy. Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Wow. So when you're doing this, how does that affect the energy? Does it clear the physical things that are blocking energy, or does it clear the pathways of the energy? How does that work?
It basically removes the blockages so that energy can flow freely. Because think of it, right? You've got this imbalance like an orange in wherever it may be, your neck or wherever it may be in your body. You can also trap something called an emotional reverberation. And those are the ones that, in my mind, are really great to get rid of. Because what that is, it's a emotion vibrating through your body like a bell ringing. Like worthlessness is a really big one for women especially. Could you imagine this feeling of worthlessness vibrating through your body? And then let's say somebody doesn't get invited to a party, but they know their friend did. What's the first thing you're going to feel? Why wasn't I invited? And you're all triggered. And that could be from that resonance. And we get to clear that as well.
Yeah, I think with me, it cleared something with about being heard and self-worth or something. Mm-hmm. I think I remember that. And for most people, after you clear that sort of thing, how does that actually affect their lives?
As soon as the session's over, the majority of, I love taking people that have a pain 7 or higher, because as soon as the session's over, they generally feel better. I have a few clients, they call themselves late bloomers. They say they don't feel the positive effects till about 3 days later. But most of my clients, they feel lighter, they feel happier, they just feel good. And they can't wait for their next session. Most of my clients come once a week. Some of them come every other week. But they just feel lighter and happier. and they're just glad that it's gone.
Yeah.
Sometimes, depending on the person, they actually feel tingling in various body parts. Some people are more aware of that than others, but generally everybody loves it because they just feel lighter. I mean, when I do a session on myself, I just feel so relaxed. I'm so relaxed for that day. So relaxed. It's wonderful. So how did you feel after your session?
Actually, I got a nap afterwards. I live by this saying. It was actually on a Disney T-shirt. When the going gets tough, the tough take a nap.
There we go.
So usually when something big happens, I wind up taking a nap.
Oh, there we go.
So it's like my whole body relaxes, and then it's like, oh, la la land.
Nice. So you were relaxed.
Yeah.
Good.
So, but one of the big things that I noticed, and I think I told you about this, that I was having this recurring dream, and it stopped.
Nice.
So.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
That is so good.
So it's actually, I mean, for anybody who's actually skeptical about the whole thing, it's like, oh, this can't be real, sort of thing. There is actually something to it. It's like, there's something to our subconscious mind. So now I know this has been said by many other coaches and people that our day-to-day life, we only use about 5% of our mind, and then you said the other one, the other 95% is, like you said, like that sandwich that we ate when we were 3 years old. It remembers it, and which is kind of astounding to a lot of people. That are like, it was something that happened when I was 3 years old, and I'm 50-some now. How could that possibly be? But there's an energy between us and everything that we come in contact with, right?
There certainly is. That is true. And I've done sessions with people, and they, like one woman, it was recovery interference at 3 years old, and physical trauma at 3 years old. And I said, so what happened between 2 and 4? And she said, oh, I had my tonsils out. So that's exactly what it was. Physical trauma was a surgery, and recovery interference happens when we don't have a chance to recover energetically from it. Our attention gets taken elsewhere. So for sure, our subconscious mind remembers everything, and if the energy gets trapped, it knows. And when I'm working with somebody, I'm just doing muscle testing to get my yes or no answers. That is all I'm doing. I'm just asking yes or no questions, following a chart, and then I'm swiping it away. And to me, it's a very easy thing to do. But I have found with many people, it's not easy for them. It's not easy for them to pick it up and do it. But for me, it was a very simple thing to do, and it made complete sense to me. So, yeah, anything can get trapped in our bodies. And this is a great way to find out what it is and relieve ourselves of our physical or emotional limitations.
So, when we talk about limitations as an energetic being, do we have any limitations? Any real limitations?
We don't, but as an energetic being, I don't believe we do. But as far as our thinking that goes, we certainly do.
Right. So it's more of how we're thinking, or how we're taught to think, that puts up the limitations.
Exactly. Or the imbalances that we have. I did a session on myself, and there was a broadcast message, which is, so to describe that, it's a trapped energy coming from you like a radio tower. And that broadcast message for me was, the universe hates me, and it was trapped at 5. And I'm thinking, I didn't even know what the universe was when I was 5. But I do remember when that happened, and it was actually Everybody Hates Me. So, little story, I'm 5 years old. I've got the toboggan with the blades on it, the sleigh with the blades on it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the whole street is going down to this girl's house at the end of the street. I won't say her name. Going to this little girl's house at the end of the street who had the great driveway to toboggan down. Everyone in the entire neighborhood was going, and I wasn't allowed because my sled had blades on the bottom. She didn't want those blades wrecking her, slide. Everybody else had, slip and slides or the little round things, right, that you go down on. So I came home crying my eyes out, pulling my sled, leaving the tracks behind me. And it was in that moment that I tracked that broadcast message, Everybody Hates Me, because I figured everyone, the whole entire neighborhood hated me. Meanwhile, decades later, I'm carrying around this most ridiculous broadcast message that I tracked at 5 that people are getting from me. Well, that's not the message I want people to receive. And I hope that they really weren't aware of it. But energetically, on some level, they were receiving that from me. So I was able to clear that with this modality.
So you trapped that event of you dragging the sled back home again in tears.
Yes, feeling like everybody hated me. Everybody was allowed to go down that slide, that hill, but me. Everybody, all the kids in the neighborhood, and there were lots, because I didn't have the proper sleigh. So I'm like, everybody hates me. Nobody likes me. I'm going to the garden to eat worms.
You sound like a 5-year-old now.
Yeah, right? Like decades later. It's like, are you kidding me? Let's get rid of that stuff. Who wants to carry that around? It's like wearing your one of your t-shirts when you were 6, still wearing it when you're in your 40s. Let's get rid of that stuff if we can. It's not serving us in any way.
Yeah. Yeah, especially the dragging of the sled back home again was dejected. Wow.
Yeah, my mom made me tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwich and made me feel better when I got in, but still.
So how do we realize when something's trapped in us like that?
Triggers. You'll notice it by triggers. If there's something that really annoys you, and you don't really know why, that would be it. And sometimes you don't know. You really don't know. I mean, I've learned a lot about myself from doing these sessions. I will say, though, I cleared my heart wall, and my father was going through cancer. And I'm going for a walk one day, and I'm thinking, something's not right. I just felt like there was an edge that wasn't there before. And I thought, okay, well, my dad's going through this, so I checked. And I asked, was there any inherited trapped emotions from my dad going through cancer? And there was. So there were new ones trapped, and they were heart wall emotions. So as he's going through all this stuff with his pancreas cancer, he was creating trapped emotions in his heart wall strong enough that it started building a new one in mine. It started creating a heart wall in me. And I'm thinking, no. And I could tell the difference because there's an edge that's there. And I remember when I heard the word heart wall, I thought, okay, I better test for that, because that oddly and strangely sounds like a familiar thing to me, even though I've never heard that word before.
Yeah.
So I tested, and sure enough, he had trapped them, which was gifted to me, no thank you, and I was able to clear them.
Wow.
I would much rather have had a new car, but no, I inherited that instead.
Wow. So how does the heart wall actually show up in our lives?
It shows up by not allowing closeness to others. For me, what happened was, if I was in a relationship and things didn't go the way I really wanted them to go, I could honestly feel like, if I felt that I was hurt, I could honestly feel like a wall going up between me and that person and I. I truly could.
Wow.
And then I would distance myself. That's how it worked for me, and that's how it works for most people.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's kind of interesting. So,
It,
and you're able to clear that out of people?
it takes several sessions. One woman who was 66, we started the third week of June every single week, and we were finished by the second week of September. It really depends what they've trapped. It really depends, what they were given, because you can have an inherited heart wall too. Mm-hmm. What I find interesting, this is not always the case, but from what I've seen, the inherited trapped emotions want to come up first, because I'll say, do you have a heart wall? And I'll get a yes, and then I'll say, what imbalances need to be released? And it's the inherited trapped emotions generally that want to come up first, which I find very interesting. It's like, we've been here for generations, get us out!
Wow. So, how do you start assessing people and knowing what to clear and everything? What's the process?
So I just talk to the person for a little bit, and then I ask them how they're feeling and how they want to improve their lives, because that's exactly what this does. This modality allows us to have more freedom physically and emotionally in our lives. And I've cleared everything from worthiness to, I have one client who's very successful online, and she did not feel worthy of what she was charging. So I asked, was there any imbalances regarding your worth and your services? And there was. So we cleared all of that. And honestly and truly, she upped her prices, increased by 50% more, has more clients now, and feels very worthy of the amount that she's charging. So I basically just talk to the client, see where they're at, see where their discomfort is, either emotionally or physically, and find out what they want to work on. And generally, it's like a great big grocery list with my clients. I have one woman who's come to me for about, I have a few of them like this actually, that's come to me for about 1.5 years every single week. And we have a list. Right now, we're working on the heart wall, and she's sticking with that. But even still, before every session, she says, ask on the list what I should do. So everything's like numbered. There's like 20 different things.
Wow.
And then she'll add more to it. It depends on the session. It depends on what the person's going through, and it depends on where they want to go.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes they don't know. A really good session is what can we release for your highest and greatest good. That's a fantastic session. What can we release to help you live a limitless life? Or sometimes they're just talking, and as they're talking, I could come up with questions that we can ask. And we just ask their subconscious mind, and then the body gives us the answer as to what we should do. The body and the subconscious mind knows the best.
Yeah. I had a conversation with somebody in an earlier meeting today, and we were talking about things that you really don't know, and and we came with this analogy about a paper bag that you could be living inside the paper bag and not know what's on the other side of the paper bag, because you never seen it, you never experienced it, because the paper bag has always been there. So,
yes, very true.
So you're one of those people that helps, like, hey, there is something on the other side of this. Let's lift it off and remove it so that you can see it and experience it.
I love that analogy. Yes, that's very, very true. We don't know we're in jail unless we're told, right? Many times, we don't know that these confinements are around us if we don't know any better. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We don't know. We only know what we experience. So definitely, it's a sense of freedom. Let's let off that paper bag. Let's get rid of these self-imposed limitations. And like I said so many times, these limitations aren't even ours. They're inherited from decades ago.
Yeah.
And we didn't even, or it happened as we were growing up, and what we watched and the emotions and the events that were going around us as we were young. And we couldn't decipher. We thought these things were normal.
Yeah. So, what is the ultimate goal that you have for your clients?
My ultimate goal is for them to release anything that they need to release to live a limitless life, a life of freedom. I did a session for a fellow, we did his heart wall, and I loved what he said to me. I said, so how do you feel after your heart wall's been released? He said, Lynn, now this had nothing, when I would use the word mask, he's talking nothing about the stuff that's going on in the world right now. He said, Lynn, I feel like I've arrived in the arena as the man without the mask. I feel that I could truly be myself and not worry and wonder what other people are thinking. That's what I want for my clients. When he said that to me, I thought, oh my goodness. And another client said to me, I now feel safe in my body. That's what I want for my clients. Why do we have to walk around feeling anxious, thinking that's a regular state of mind? We don't have to. We don't have to be concerned what everybody's thinking of us, or this limitation or that limitation. We don't have to. We can be free. We can release these imbalances and we can be free. I was doing all that other inner work and I still felt that there was something in there that I needed to get out, and I didn't know how to get it out. You know, I was doing everything you're supposed to do, and this was my ticket. It's like I felt like I was digging for clowns with all the work I was doing, you know, and then the clowns going deeper and deeper and going, no, I need to get deeper. So this was the answer for me, and for many of my clients.
Yeah. What does freedom mean to you?
No limitations. No limitations. Happiness, joy, and no limitations, and be able to just do what you want to do when you want to do it without holding yourself back.
Yeah. Do you remember when you first felt free?
Oh, I remember being a little kid and rolling down that big hill. rolling down that big hill and not knowing when you were going to stop, and it was fun. That was probably the first time.
So
being a little kid and swinging on a swing and then jumping when you're high in the air, jumping off that swing. And you're soaring through there, and then you land on your feet. And then you jump further than your friend, because that was the goal.
Wow. So you try to give that feeling to each and every one of your clients?
I do. I just think that's when they tell me that they feel lighter and they feel freer and they feel happier. I get that all the time, and peaceful. Then I know I've done my job. And I get such joy when I see the improvement. There's this one woman that sticks out to me. She came to me and she said she felt overwhelmed. She looked it. I saw her on Zoom. She looked overwhelmed. I could feel overwhelmed. And she was coming every single week and for a long time. And then her husband lost his job. I thought, okay, let's see how she reacts to this. She was fine. 3 weeks later, her best friend died. I thought, okay, let's see how she reacts to this. She was okay-ish, you know. And then 2 weeks later, she had to put her dog down. I said, how are you doing? She said, I'm okay. She says, before our sessions, I would have just put myself to bed. I would have been so overwhelmed. Yeah. She says, but I'm good. She was just going through life stuff. Of course, she was sad that these things happened, but it didn't send her in a tailspin as it would before.
Right.
I've had a client that was afraid. She's very public online, and she would have fear of public speaking. She'd get rashes all over her body when it was time. We did a couple sessions on that. That doesn't happen to her anymore.
Wow.
There's so many stories and story after story of people freeing themselves of these past limitations that I know it works. If the person is open, it will work. If the person doesn't think it's going to work, I don't even waste my time. I do it with love and the intention of expecting a miracle. And if the person receives it that way, that's exactly what they'll get.
Yeah. Now, I want to qualify something, because there's a lot of people out there that are skeptical, but it doesn't mean that they're closed off, right? There's a difference, isn't there?
Oh, correct. If the person says this is not going to work for me, it won't. It won't.
Mm-hmm.
But this work is believing is seeing. It's not seeing is believing. It's believing is seeing. My brother was that person that was like, how is this going to work? This isn't going to work for me. And we had a great big long talk. I even did a session on him and resisting this. Now, I'm still doing sessions on him, and he had a heart issue going on, and they said it was electrical. I did these sessions on him, several of them,
Mm-hmm.
and this electrical problem has gone away because now he understands that believing is seeing. It's like having faith.
Yeah.
You can't see faith.
Yeah.
Right? You have to believe in faith.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the exact same thing. It's energy.
Yeah.
You know, we all know that if we jump in the air, we're going to fall down. We're going to land down. That's the law of gravity. That's something we can see. But we can't see this. We can feel it if we allow ourselves to be open and believe it.
Right.
I've had people that were okay, as long as you're open. As long as you're open. That's all you need to be, is open. And I've had people just totally be blown away by this.
Yeah. So, just to throw a curveball at you.
Yeah.
If you were able to heal enough people and cause the perfect world for you, what would it look like?
Perfect world for me.
Yeah.
People would be smiling. They'd be living their life purpose. And they'd be giving from their heart. And they'd be open to each other. None of this, how are you? Oh, good. You know, they'd be open.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of distant. They'd be more willing to share and help each other rather than just trying to survive moment by moment. I've had a lot of people are surviving and not thriving. I want these people, the perfect world, people are thriving and growing and contributing in whatever wonderful gift that they were given, because we were all given a gift and they're all using their gifts to their fullest potential.
Yeah. Very cool. Now, I remember we found each other somewhere or another on Instagram, but what are the best ways to get a hold of you and work with you?
Okay, Inner Hero Healing is Instagram, and then I have a website, www.innerherohealing.com, or you can reach me at Lynn at innerherohealing.com for my email.
Cool. Yeah. It's always fun talking to you.
Oh, thank you. It's fun talking to you as well. Yeah, I love it. It's fun.
And I want to really thank you for coming on the show and telling people what you do to help them. I was like, and I hope everybody listening to this will connect with you and work with you and for your business.
My pleasure. I hope so too. I want to share this modality with as many people as possible because I have seen it change my life so much, and I get such a joy out of helping others change their life because there are no limitations. There is nothing that, honestly, I've helped children that were wetting the bed. You know, I've helped women that had cysts, well, not me, the modality has helped women that have cysts on their ovaries. You know, I don't like to say I do it, I've been the one conducting it, but it's the modality that works so well. And it's been amazing to be a part of this journey with these people and helping them live happier, healthier, more productive lives. I love it. So the more people we get to touch and share this with, the better. So thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
And I hope that this resonates with some people that are wanting to give this a try, because nothing ventured, nothing gained. It certainly doesn't hurt anything. It only helps. And you feel so good after a session.
Yeah, you do, actually.
It's better than an hour massage, you know that? It truly is.
Yeah.
And it only takes 30 minutes. The sessions only take 30 minutes.
So, yeah.
It's funny because I get in there sometimes with people, and sometimes I'm talking so fast because their imbalances want out. That's almost what it feels like. I have to actually slow down the speed of my voice.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So everybody, look for innerherohealing.com or on Instagram and connect with Lynn. And trust me, you'll feel better, and you'll find more production in your life and more abundance and just more loves. You know?
Yeah, less anxiety, less stress. That's a big one for people, is the anxiety and stress. It's huge.
Yeah.
Fear. It's wonderful. Let's not let anything hold you back anymore. There's no point. Why?
Yeah.
Why suffer if you don't have to?
Yeah. Exactly.
Why just survive when you can thrive?
Yeah. Great ending point. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Recording stopped.
So I wish upon that shooting star, and then
This show has been produced by Depictions Media. Please contact us at depictions.media for more information.